Sprawled across the ocean floor, nearly 600 fiber-optic communications cables keep governments, militaries, businesses, and individuals around the world digitally connected. These subsea data cables form the backbone of the internet, transmitting over 99% of global data and carry over $10 trillion of financial transactions every day. For decades, these critical linkages have been out of sight, out of mind for policymakers and members of the public alike. But this is changing. In recent months, a series of suspicious incidents and cable cuts have exposed the vulnerability of subsea data cables. In addition, subsea data cables are becoming an increasingly critical battleground in a technological rivalry between the United States and China, with both countries hoping to deploy their digital technologies and infrastructure around the globe. The impact of subsea cable cuts and the ways in which US-China competition are influencing the security and resilience of these cables varies from region to region. At Carnegie, we are exploring how these dynamics are shaping the deployment, investment, security, and governance of these cables in 3 different regions: Africa, Europe, and Southeast Asia. In Africa, a growing digital economy is driving investments in new subsea cable systems, especially among big tech firms. But a lack of redundancies and repair capacities remain key challenges. Jane, fill us in on what's going on in Africa.
Thanks, Eric, and it's always good to be here to talk to you about Africa's digital transformation, and especially its undersea cables. Undersea cables are being cut, and when they're cut, they're not that easy to bring back online. So there are a lot of policy conversations right now that are happening at the policy level to bring better coordination, and also to try and bring better technical capacities in restoring traffic. I'll just mention 2 of the key things that are being done. One is how do you get a focal person? When the internet goes down or this undersea cable goes down, how do we identify where the problem is? And then what are the points of action that need to be done? And then of course there's redundancy, building resiliency, more cables. So these are bigger measures that are being done. And thirdly is the coordination and collaboration nationally, regionally, and internationally. So these are some of the things that are happening, and why again it's important. Africa's digital transformation is at stake. There are a lot of gains. We are connecting on our phones for work, to engage with government, or even when you're looking for direction. So you need to stay connected, and you want to ensure that Africans continue to stay engaged and continue to drive the digital economy. So thank you so much for this time.
European officials sprang into action following a series of suspicious cable cuts in the Baltic Sea, increasing maritime patrols and surveillance of cables linked to Europe. In addition to physical protection, European officials are focused on the cybersecurity of their digital infrastructure and are looking to build cables that connect Europe to strategic partners. Sophia, how are European officials responding to recent cable cuts in the Baltic Sea?
So Europe's response has grown sharper with each incident. The cable cuts revealed just how exposed Europe's networks are. And since then, the EU, NATO, national governments have stepped up patrols, improved coordination. They launched a new so-called Cable Security Action Plan. The real challenge is turning today's emergency fixes into lasting deterrence and resilience, because adversaries are clearly watching and learning. So going forward, I'd point to 3 big challenges. The first is legal. Under international law, European authorities today often can't act against ships suspected of tampering with cables once they're outside territorial waters. That's a pretty dangerous loophole that adversaries can exploit. The second challenge is strategic. As I said, a handful of companies dominate the subsea cable market. US tech giants are expanding their share. China's pushing its own networks. Europe risks being squeezed unless it invests in its own strength and its own firms, and builds more repair capacity together with trusted partners. And the third challenge is the issue of non-trusted components in subsea cables connected to Europe's territory. Moving quickly to exclude high-risk suppliers would both strengthen Europe's own security and give its companies a real competitive advantage.
Southeast Asia is home to some of the world's busiest shipping lanes and is a crucial hub for transnational cables that span the globe. Countries in the region must navigate unique physical risks to their cables, as well as pressure from the United States to use non-Chinese suppliers in new cable systems. Alina, how does Southeast Asia's location make its cables uniquely vulnerable to physical damage?
Thanks, Eric, for the question. Southeast Asia lies right smack in the middle of some of the world's busiest shipping lanes. The Strait of Malacca, which has been described as a key trade choke point, connects the Indian Ocean to the Pacific Ocean through the South China Sea. The Strait of Malacca hosts somewhere between 80 to 90,000 vessels a year. It's a very narrow piece of waterway. The South China Sea also hosts tens of thousands of fishing, container, naval, and other vessels every single year. And so the propensity for anchor drags, which causes most of the cable damage and disruption in the world as well as in Southeast Asia, is particularly high in and around Southeast Asia. Additionally, Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia and the Philippines skirt what is called the Ring of Fire, which is a horseshoe or half-circular belt of seismic activity around the Pacific Ocean that can damage cables or disrupt cable operations when and as these seismic activities happen in the region.
Threats to subsea cables and the implications of singular cable cuts will continue to vary between countries and regions, but the underlying importance of these cables will not, especially as AI drives increased demand for global bandwidth. At Carnegie, we will continue to explore the ways that policymakers, businesses, and militaries approach the protection and governance of their subsea cables and digital infrastructures.